Hello everyone, welcome back, and today I just wanted to talk about some Barcelona transfer news that we've seen in the past couple days, and I also wanted to do a preview for Barcelona's game tomorrow against Real Sociedad, and I know La Liga, Barcelona already lost that, but there's still something to play for Barcelona. Hopefully they can still get second in the league, because then they can play in the Supercopa de España next year, which obviously leads to more revenue, and another opportunity for a trophy for Barcelona. So it's important to try and get second. So yeah, I'm going to talk about all of that today. And the first topic I wanted to talk about was Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad, who Barcelona play tomorrow. So it'll be good for the fans to see how well he plays. But it doesn't really matter how good he is because he is not leaving Real Sociedad in the summer. You know, Xavi and Barcelona have wanted to bring him in for the past 2 summers. It just hasn't worked out. And Real Sociedad, he wants to stay at the club, which I completely respect. And yeah, there's nothing that's really going to take him away from the club. Even though, I don't think he would be a bad option, I still think the release clause of around 50 to 60 million, it would have been too much for Barcelona anyways. But yeah, his coach basically came out and confirmed that Zubimendi will be playing for Real Sociedad next season. So there's no way he joins Barcelona in the summer. So their search for a defensive midfielder, it continues. And I will be completely honest with Zubimendi, I haven't been able to watch him that much. But anytime that I've been able to watch him, I think he's a pretty decent player, but I haven't been completely impressed. I haven't thought that Barcelona need to do everything they can to try and bring him in the summer, and who knows how well he would fit. I think he would fit in very well with Barcelona, but we're not going to be able to find out this summer for sure. I don't know. At some point in the future, if he decides to leave Sociedad, I think Barcelona would be an option, but this summer it's not going to happen. And I will be honest, I made a TikTok about it. I will be honest, I think that Barcelona's plan is to sign Guido Rodriguez and then continue to play Christensen as a defensive midfielder next season. So to be honest, I think those might be Barcelona's 2 options for that position. And is that going to be enough for Barcelona against the biggest teams? If they want to compete for all trophies, is that going to be enough in the most important position that Barcelona really need to look into in the summer? I mean, that will be determined next season. I'm not completely confident with Guido Rodriguez, but for a free signing, given the financial situation that Barcelona are in, I don't think it's a bad signing. But I'm sure we're going to continue to hear more rumors about the defensive midfielder position for Barcelona, but it's definitely not going to be Zubimendi in the summer. We know that for certain. But players like Joshua Kimmich, Onana from Everton, Mats Weifer from Feyenoord, I believe, these are players that Barcelona are going to continue to be linked to. And I'll be honest, I just haven't watched any of those players enough, other than Kimmich, of course, but I don't feel 100% confident with any player in the market. And I know it's a position that Barcelona really need to look into, and there are some decent candidates there, but I just don't feel 100% certain with really anyone. I just don't know what's going to happen in that position, but I think Christensen has done very well in the past 2 months playing in that role, but I don't know if that's the best long-term solution, and Christensen, he really isn't able to finish games. He usually plays like 50 or 60 minutes, which, it's not bad, but I just hope Barcelona don't run into the same problem next season if they just replace Oriol Romeu, who, after the first couple games of the season, it didn't look like he was good enough to start, and it didn't happen. And they replaced Oriol Romeu with Guido Rodriguez, and I think a lot of fans around the world, their worry is that it's basically going to be a like-for-like situation, that Guido Rodriguez isn't going to be good enough for the club to be starting. And I've watched him a little bit with Argentina. I think he's a decent player. He moves the ball well. He doesn't really do anything fancy or special. I don't think he's going to be a guaranteed starter every game next season for the club, but I hope I'm wrong about that. And I think he could come in and start games for Barcelona, do pretty well in that position. And I do think hopefully he will be an upgrade on Oriol Romeu, but I don't. Obviously, Barcelona fans, they don't feel completely confident about that being the only signing in that position. And like I said, we're going to hear more about the defensive midfield signings for Barcelona in the summer. But to me, I would not be surprised if Guido Rodriguez and Christensen are the 2 defensive midfielders for the club next season. Xavi, I'm sure he's going to be asking for different players, but given the financial situation, we don't even know if Barcelona can sign players in the summer. So, we're just going to have to wait and see. But I really would not be surprised if Guido Rodriguez is the only defensive midfield signing for the club in the summer. And then moving on to the Ansu Fati situation, I think a lot of fans around the world are just really worried about this situation because obviously the potential that Ansu Fati had a couple years ago, his ceiling was so high, and I still think he has a high ceiling. I still think he has a lot of talent. He hasn't exactly looked the same since those injuries, and I also think it's just a confidence issue right now because it doesn't look like he really believes in himself, and the clubs that he's playing for, they haven't been giving him starting guaranteed minutes every week and really believing in him. But I hope that he still has a future at the club because he's a La Masia graduate. He came from the academy. I hope Xavi gives him an opportunity in the summer because, Xavi just completely discarded him last season. And in the summer, he told him, I have no plans for you. You're not going to get playing time here, so you should look for a loan elsewhere. He went to Brighton. It hasn't exactly worked out yet. I still think he has a high ceiling. I still think he can become a great player. And especially in a position that Barcelona, they don't really have a guaranteed starter. They don't have someone in the left wing position that's cemented his place in the squad next year. I think Joao Felix, I don't think he's going to come back on loan to Barcelona. So it hasn't seemed like Xavi has counted on him either. And with Ferran Torres, being hit or miss, it's a position that Barcelona need to look into in the summer. So why would you not look internally at a La Masia graduate and give him an opportunity in the summer? And to me, I don't know what happened between Xavi and Ansu Fati, because it's really frustrating to see. Xavi was asked about Ansu Fati, and he basically said, don't ask me about players that are not at the club. And then he was asked about Eric Garcia, who's also on loan. He's also not at the club. And he said, yeah, I have plans for Eric Garcia. I think he should come back to Barcelona. I never wanted him to leave in the first place. So obviously, it's a very different situation. And Eric Garcia's potential is not nearly as high as Ansu Fati. I mean, Ansu Fati's ceiling is much higher than Eric Garcia. I think Eric Garcia, realistically, he should be sold to Girona in the summer. I think he feels more comfortable there. I think he looks better there, and I don't think he's Barcelona quality. No offense to him, I don't think he would be a bad squad player to have. But if you want to become one of the best teams in the world, I don't think bring Eric Garcia back from loan would be the solution. It would not be the way to make that happen. And maybe someone argue that's the same thing with Ansu Fati. I just feel like his potential is higher. And again, it's a position that Barcelona really need in the summer. Why not trust Ansu Fati? That's my question. And I don't know if his wages are very high, so maybe he has to be on loan because of Barcelona's financial fair play issues. But if he is able to be with the club for preseason in the summer, I think that would be the best thing for the club. And then moving on to Alex Baena, who's a pretty good player. I think he can operate in tight spaces. He's pretty creative. He's done very well with Villarreal this season anytime that I've watched him. But for the 40 to 60 million price range, Barcelona, they shouldn't even be looking into that realistically. It's the same type of profile that Dani Olmo has, and for me, I just don't think that should be a priority for Barcelona in the summer, especially given the fact that both of those players are going to cost more than 40 million. It's just not going to happen, and I don't think it'd be the best signing for Barcelona in that situation. And these players like Alex Baena, Bernardo Silva, Dani Olmo, I don't exactly want to put Bernardo in the same sentence as them because I think he's much better than them. But I just don't think Barcelona should be making those players a priority. I think the best case scenario for Barcelona is to save money this season. I would be completely fine with that if they can guarantee and lock in the signing of Florian Wirtz in 2025. That would be the absolute best case scenario. I would much rather Barcelona wait for Florian Wirtz, spend 120 million on him if they can, rather than spend 40 to 50 million on Alex Baena, 60 million on Dani Olmo, or 50 million on Bernardo Silva. I think it would definitely be, I would be much happier if Florian Wirtz was the signing in 2025, and if you can't sign that many players in this summer, that's completely fine. And then moving on to Xavi Simons, obviously it's a much different situation because he's just coming on loan. It wouldn't be a high transfer fee that Barcelona would have to pay. Again, the question is, would PSG let him go on loan, and then more specifically to Barcelona? But I think Xavi, the coach, would love to have Xavi Simons, and I think Xavi Simons would really like to return to the club. I could see that happening in the summer for sure. I think that's a signing that the club could definitely make. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, to have Ansu Fati and Xavi Simons as the two left wingers for Barcelona next season, I would definitely not be against that. Nico Williams, obviously he would be a very good signing for the club, but can they spend 50 million in the summer, and would Nico Williams want to leave? Probably not. In my opinion, I think he would much rather stay at Bilbao. I just think he feels comfortable there. He's from the academy. He's playing with his brother. That is all great. Xavi Simons, I think, could be more realistic. And yeah, I would definitely, again, love to see that happen. And we've heard much more about it in the past couple days. It's basically all the same, that he would like to return to Barcelona. Barcelona would like to sign him in the summer. But will PSG be able to make it happen? I'm sure we're going to hear much more about it as the summer continues. But that's a signing that I could definitely see happening for the club. And I would really like to see it. And then quickly, I wanted to talk about Mikhail Faye because I think he has a bright future at Barcelona. There have been some links that the club have received offers for around 15 million for him. They should be rejecting that 100%. And I think the potential that he holds, he is definitely more than capable of becoming a Barcelona first-team player next season or, in a season or two. And then moving on towards a preview for tomorrow's game against Sociedad. And yeah, I think a lot of fans around the world, maybe they're not as excited usually because La Liga is already done. Some of these games are just like getting experience and giving players that maybe didn't have the most minutes and, some players from the academy some minutes. That would be nice to see, but also Barcelona, they have to cement their place in second for this season. Obviously, things didn't go their way this year, but there is still something to play for next season so they can prepare for next year. And, they want to make sure that they can compete in the Supercopa because that's an opportunity for a trophy next year. And yeah, you want all the money and all the revenue that you can get, given the financial situation. And of course, Barcelona, they want to be competing for all trophies next year. So you have to try and get second, and a win tomorrow would put you in second place. And tomorrow, I don't think there are going to be any surprises in the lineup. I think it's going to be Ter Stegen, and then Koundé, Araujo, Cubarsí, Joao Cancelo, which I would really like to see maybe Hector Ford getting a start, because Cancelo, I just think he's had a pretty rough couple weeks, so it'd be nice to just give him some rest. And then also Christensen in the midfield with Gundogan and probably Fermin Lopez. I could see Pedri coming on as a substitute if he's just coming back from injury. And then, of course, Lamine Yamal on the right, probably Rafinha on the left, and then Lewandowski up top. But hopefully players like Vitor Roque, players like Ferran Torres, I'm guessing they're going to get some minutes at some point in the game tomorrow. And we all know in the past couple weeks it hasn't been the best for Barcelona because they let La Liga slip, they got knocked out of the Champions League. Hasn't been the best, but you still want to finish the season strong and you still want to get wins in the last few games, while also giving minutes to the younger players, giving minutes to Vitor Roque. That's really important. I really hope that he comes on for 20 to 30 minutes next game, because that'd be so nice for his confidence and knowing that Xavi has his trust, but I just don't think Xavi does right now, and I don't know. I could talk more about that Vitor Roque situation, but I'll just save it for another video. It's just frustrating to watch, to be honest, because I think Vitor Roque, he has a lot of potential. I would love to see him getting more minutes, and Barcelona, basically guaranteeing him that they see him as a future player for them, because right now it just looks like they rushed him to the club. They paid 30 to 60 million for him, and now they don't trust him. Now they don't think he's good enough, or specifically Xavi doesn't think he's good enough right now to be playing. Yeah, I'd like to see Vitor Roque getting some minutes, and then hopefully towards the end of the season in the last game or so he would be getting a start, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. But as always, thank you very much for watching my video. I really do appreciate it, and I love talking about all of this, so I'm going to continue to make videos. And this summer I think is going to be very interesting for Barcelona. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of links for players that Barcelona want to bring to the club, and also players they want to leave. And I think that is important for Barca to get rid of some players that are maybe on high wages and they just don't do enough in the games. Yeah, it'd be nice for Barcelona to get their financial situation in order this summer by buying smart players, not spending a crazy amount of money. And then hopefully in 2025 you can bring in a player like Florian Wirtz. That would be so nice for Barcelona, but we'll just have to wait and see. But as always, thank you very much for watching my video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And Visca Barca. See you all. Peace.